the name and a face hopefully familiar to many of you because she's active on Stock Charts TV, and we're very, very lucky to have her. Mish Schneider is the Director of Trader Education at Market Gauge, host of Mish's Market Minute on Stock Charts TV. Mish, it's great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave. Great to see you.
So you are smiling and in good spirits, as am I, even though the markets have been deteriorating all around us. Tell us how you're making sense of things. We're starting looking at the retail ETF, the XRT. What are you seeing here?
Well, those of you who have been in the stock chart space with me know that I'm very much into the economic modern family, which is a creation of my own invention, really based on a way to tell the story of what's happening in the economy, the most salient aspects of the U.S. economy, and then also what's happening in the market as a result. So since there's so much bad news out there, and I don't necessarily think that the bad news is going to really go away in terms of inflation and things like that, but we do know that the market sometimes is very forward thinking. And so there was one bright spot, and that's why the smile on my face, that is potentially something that we can talk about. One of the major members of the economic modern family is retail. I call her Granny Retail because I always kind of come up with the little old lady running around the mall. And so as a result of me feeling that perhaps, and of course this is a strong perhaps, that retail can actually hold up, and particularly shocking would that be in the face of the consumer confidence that we saw last week being at record lows. It is possible that people think, even if we don't necessarily see it in the numbers, that areas of inflation have peaked. And that's why consumers are hanging on to that. And that's where we're going to see it, is in the XRT area. So right now it fell exactly to the 200 week. It's outperforming the Russell 2000, its husband, I like to say, which is already below the 200 week. And it closed green today, Dave, as you and I are talking. Now, of course, we have a long week to get through. We have the Fed, and then we have expiration, et cetera, et cetera. But if for some reason this can get back up maybe over 64 as we end the week, I would say, not that the bear market is over, but that we could actually maybe count on some kind of a rally in the rest of the market. Maybe XRT goes to 70, 75, best case scenario 80, which would probably bring the S&P up to maybe 410, maybe 415.
The daily chart of the S&P is your second chart. How is that relating to what we saw earlier?
This is the daily chart of the XRT. Well, the daily chart, of course, you can see that we have a 50-day moving average in blue that is trending down. And also, if you look at our ACP plug-in indicators below, it's still in momentum, is actually doing better than it was doing, obviously, when it really sold off. But it still has a Bollinger Band that it's got to hold on to, and then a 50-day moving average it has to clear. But on the very bottom, the leadership is exactly what I'm talking about. It is outperforming the SPY. It's outperforming, obviously, the Russell 2000. It's outperforming a lot of the sectors right now. And very often, and this is why we love the modern family, it will give us an indication that things are changing long before not only we see it in other areas, but definitely long before we have that consensus and the herd mentality starts to shift its gears. So hopeful, like I said.
I love the modern family that you referred to. I know your book does such a great job describing it, and a lot of what you wrote about and talk about makes so much sense. Looking at retail, looking at semiconductors, the Russell, some really good things to pay attention to. Here we're looking at the relative strength of the S&P versus the retail ETF. How do we look at this going forward here?
Well, the green line is a 21-day moving average. And you can certainly see that throughout, really pretty much since the market fell in November, and we saw it in the retail, it's actually been climbing up in terms of the ratio against the SPX. And now it's fallen back down a little bit, even though we just saw in the leadership indicator in the plug-in that it's still outperforming. So that's really what you want to see. Eventually, if XRT can actually lead, then the SPY could possibly overtake it. But it doesn't matter. At that point, its job will be done, which is to say things aren't nearly as bad as everybody likes to make it out to be. And you know how that can go. People like to be super bearish or super bullish, and we're in stagflation. And if consumers can take us and at least keep us steady as opposed to collapsing, this is where we're going to see it in the XRT.
We only have about 30 seconds left, Mish, but I did want to bring up cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, others into sort of a free fall here. What's your take on what to look for in the space here briefly?
Well, I kind of tied it to XRT because we know that Bitcoin, although still trying to figure out where it is in the U.S. economy, has a consumer base to it. And so it also is sitting right on its 200-week. And so if this cannot hold its 200-week by the end of the week, which is about roughly 22,300, then yeah, we're probably going to go back down to about 14,000, 15,000. But that too can surprise. And if it does hold, then maybe like with XRT, we can see a rally up to 27, 29, max 30,000.
Could be an interesting sign of speculation if you get a bounce in something like Bitcoin. Mish, it's a pleasure to see you and so good to have you on the show. Stay safe down there. Best to Keith and the team, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much, Dave.
That's Mish Schneider. Mish is the Director of Trading Education at Market Gauge, coming to us from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Such a great job. If you don't understand her modern family she's talked about, she does a great job on her show and in her book talking about what that means. And it's looking at some what I would call sort of some key bellwether groups. Instead of looking at everything, you look at some key components. I'm wondering if there will be a cryptocurrency member of the modern family. I think she came up with it before crypto's really proliferated. I'm curious if that will happen at some point, maybe a new addition to the family down the road. But great take there from Mish Schneider at Market Gauge.